The first time you ever saw your face, you had no idea it was you. You were somewhere between 1 and 2 years old. A mirror appeared. You reached out and touched it. You thought there was another creature on the other side. That moment of confusion, that tiny gap between seeing and knowing, holds one of the strangest secrets in all of human history. To understand it, you have to go back much further than you think, long before the first polished mirror, long before any reflective surface you would recognize. Back to a time when the world was mostly rock and fire, and the sky above was not something anyone had named yet. Researchers who study the archaeology of self-awareness, including psychologist Gordon Gallup Jr., have spent decades trying to answer a deceptively simple question. When did humans first understand that what they were looking at was themselves? And what did that moment do to the human mind? The answer is stranger than you expect. Before mirrors, humans could sometimes catch a version of their own face. Still water was the most common. A dark, glassy pool on a calm morning might show you something, but it was unstable. It rippled when you leaned in. Your breath disturbed it. The reflection fragmented and reassembled in ways that would have felt almost alive. Ancient people did not look at still water and think, "That is my face." They had no reason to. They had no concept to attach to it. What they saw was something else entirely. Anthropologist David Lewis Williams has written extensively about the way early humans experienced visual phenomena they could not explain. A face appearing in water would have been supernatural in every sense of the word that mattered to them. Something was looking back. Something mirrored your movements perfectly. Something had found a way to peer up from below the surface of the world. In some of the oldest mythologies on Earth, bodies of water are described as thresholds, not places to look into, but places things could look out from. The reflection was not seen as a self. It was seen as a double, a soul copy, a watcher. Your ancestors may have feared their own reflection for thousands of years before they understood it. Now consider what it would take to change that. What kind of discovery would shatter that fear and replace it with recognition? The oldest known man-made mirrors date to roughly 6,000 BCE, found in Anatolia in what is now modern Turkey. They were not glass. They were polished obsidian, a volcanic rock ground flat and smooth enough to show a face. The people who made them were already building permanent settlements, developing agriculture, trading across distances. They were, by most definitions, civilized. And yet this was the moment, for the first time in human history, when a person could hold something in their hand and clearly see their own face looking back. Try to feel that for a moment. You have lived your entire life knowing what you look like. You check your reflection without thinking. It means nothing now. But imagine you were the first person to hold a piece of polished obsidian flat in sunlight. Imagine seeing a face appear that moves exactly as you move, blinks when you blink, opens its mouth when you open yours. You have never seen this before. No one has. What does your brain do with that? Psychologist Philippe Rochat at Emory University has spent years studying the development of self-recognition in human infants and in other animals. His research shows that true mirror self-recognition, the understanding that the face in the reflection is your own face, requires a level of self-awareness that almost no other species on Earth can demonstrate. Chimpanzees can do it, elephants can, dolphins, a small handful of birds, and humans. But here is what Rochat discovered that almost no one talks about. Self-recognition in a mirror is not just a cognitive act, it is an emotional one. When human infants first pass the mirror test, around 18 months old, something happens that researchers did not initially expect. They become self-conscious. They touch their own faces. They look away. They look back. They sometimes become agitated or begin to cry. Before that moment, they had no concept of their external appearance. After it, they do. And with that knowledge comes something uncomfortable, something that would have been just as uncomfortable for the first humans to hold that polished obsidian disc, the knowledge that others can see you. This is the moment philosophers talk about when they describe the birth of shame. Not shame in the moral sense, but the primal recognition that you have an outside, that you are visible, that the self you experience from the inside has a face that the world can read. Before the mirror, you could feel pain, hunger, love, fear. You could feel the emotions on your own face, but you could not know how those emotions appeared to others. You could not audit yourself from the outside. You were locked inside a first-person perspective with no way to check it. The mirror broke that open, and what came flooding in was not just information, it was judgment. It was the ability to look at yourself the way others look at you. And this, researchers now believe, may have accelerated something enormous in human culture. Gordon Gallup Jr. has argued that the capacity for self-recognition is directly tied to the capacity for empathy, not as a coincidence, but as a mechanism. If you can model yourself from the outside, you can model what it feels like to be inside someone else. The mirror does not just show you your face, it teaches you the architecture of perspective taking. It gives you a simulation of what it means to be an observer. So every time you looked at your own face, you may have been practicing something that made you more human. Think about how mirrors appear in the archaeological record and what surrounds them. In ancient Egypt, mirrors were luxury objects buried with the dead. They were not seen as vanity tools. They were seen as objects of power, objects that captured something about the soul. The Egyptian word for mirror was closely related to the word for life. To look into a mirror was to encounter your own living essence. This was not superstition. This was a culture processing in mythological language what the mirror genuinely did. It confronted you with your own existence. The ancient Romans were the first culture to produce mirrors in large quantities through mercury-backed glass, and within a generation, portraiture exploded. Detailed, individualized art. People began to record faces, their own faces, with unprecedented specificity. Before that, art was largely symbolic. After mirrors became common, art became representational. A mirror taught the world how to see a person. You still carry all of this. Every time you look in a mirror before leaving the house, you are performing a ritual that was impossible for virtually the entire span of human existence. You are checking the version of yourself that other people see. You are aligning your inside with your outside. You are, for a few seconds, occupying the space between being a subject and being an object. Your ancestors spent hundreds of thousands of years with no access to that space at all. And here's the thing that should sit with you. When human infants see themselves in a mirror for the first time and they reach out to touch the glass, they are not looking for the reflection. They are looking for the creature on the other side. They don't know yet that the creature is them. And for most of human history, neither did you. You lived your whole life inside a face you never saw. You felt every expression from the inside. You had no idea what you looked like when you were afraid, or when you smiled, or when you were deep in thought. The ancient human who knelt beside a still pool and saw a face staring back did not think, "There I am." They thought, "There is something else." And in a way, they weren't wrong. Because the face in the water, the face in the obsidian, the face in the mirror, it's always slightly strange. It's always slightly other. It's always, when you look at it long enough, something you can never fully know. Tonight, when you catch your reflection and you look, really look, remember that what you are doing is one of the most recent things humans learned to do. And the part of you that still feels a flicker of strangeness when your eyes meet your own eyes, that's the oldest part of you,
the part that was here long before any mirror existed, the part that still, just for a fraction of a second, wonders who is looking back.